That's mine. Just here. I need to sit here. Sorry. We did ask questions.
Right. Have you asked the judges as well?
Sorry?
You asked the judges as well. I mean, I'll just confirm that it should be fine. Are you guys okay with
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The motion for today's debate is this House will introduce a governmental-based income for all artists, rather than offering governmental fellowships and grants to certain artists of an application. Representing the position, we have the people from country Tanzania, and on the opposition we have the team from the country Argentina. From the opposition side, as we
Do you know how many songs are released on Spotify per day? 100,000 songs. The majority of these songs are from low-income stay-at-home artists who record them from their home studios. We tell you that for every one successful artist, there are 10,000 more who fail. It is time to revitalize the artist industry, proud to affirm. I'm going to do 5 things for you today as the first speaker from side government. The first is offer you framing, but secondly, I'm going to characterize by offering you a problem analysis on how art is subjective, competition is counterproductive to art, and how there are high barriers of entry within this field. Thirdly, I'm going to offer you our model. Fourthly, I'm going to offer you our arguments. Finally, I'm going to finish up with some comparative analysis on how we should prioritize our model versus opposition counterfactual. Moving on to the first key areas of framing. We tell you that one, this debate is about on which side do we best promote art and the art industry. But secondly, this debate is not about whether or not art is good, right? We both agree on both sides of the house that art is good. But on which side do we further this field, do we promote this industry? It is on side government. How? This is moving on to my second thing that I'm going to do for you today, which is a problem analysis, right? So what is the problem here? Hannah, we told that there are a number of things that are particularly damaging that we as outside opposition have noticed. The first being on how art is inherently subjective and unpredictable, right? Because of this, then, we say that competition is ineffective because what one person prioritizes in a certain form of art is not necessarily what somebody else would prioritize when looking at the same piece of art. We think then that this makes competition uniquely harmful to the development of art. But even if you don't believe us, how? We tell you that it is harmful because of the bias that affects how the same piece of art is perceived by two different people. But secondly, right, with this counterfactual opening fellowships, we show that there exists the possibility for people to corrupt and bribe because they have the incentive for them to win these fellowships, which are extremely competitive. But certainly then, even if we must have competition, right, even if we think competition is important, the kind of competition that we would prioritize inside proposition would be self-competition, where you're only competing with the person that you were yesterday, as opposed to external competition, right? Notice how these harms that we mentioned are exactly what is wrong with using government fellowships or grants to support art or support the art industry. I'll take later. Because what they do then is they prioritize certain forms of art, right? And they favor certain artists over others. We think that on their side of the house, we see how stay-at-home moms, for instance, have more time for them to draw, versus a person who works 2 jobs, perhaps a McDonald's job, and a factory worker job. We do not think that this factory worker is able to work with the same, to offer the same amount of time and productivity in this art as a stay-at-home mom, right? But lastly, we think the final problem that exists on their side with government policies is the coercive nature that again stems from this competition, right? So the second layer of this problem analysis is how there are high barriers of entry within the arts field in state school, right? Because at the point where in order for you to release a song, you have to pay a producer hundreds of dollars in order for you to work on this song. You have to pay for promotion, which would probably cost thousands of dollars. We think this causes high barriers of entry, and the impact then is that we think that young and immature artists are able to break even into this field, right? So what then is our model, and how does it solve these unique problems that we have identified? We tell you that our model will be to one, create an independent body that will oversee our registratory system, which will register artists and periodically check on them to make sure that they are still active within the artist field that won't take it. Secondly, we think that that body will offer a minimum pay unconditionally to artists who pass this check, right? Would be if the minimum pay, let's say, is $15 in a state, then we'll go for that same minimum pay, right? We think this minimum pay is enough because it doesn't really take that much to be able to break even into this field. And what we're necessarily by this, provided that I've already said that it takes some amount of money for you to break even, right? We think at the point where you're paying $15 an hour, you are able for you to then get like $300 in a matter of 20 hours, right? We think that once you're able to do this, then there are some very systematic benefits that stem directly from our model. The first being on how it eliminates people who will be able to take advantage of the system because of the formation of this body. But secondly, this is very, very important, how we exclusively have the assurance of payment on our side of the house, because they're counterfactual government fellowships which are not promised to win, right? So how do we then solve this problem, right? Our model is able to reduce competition, right? We eliminate the possibilities of bias and corruption because people no longer have the incentive to engage in such things. But secondly, we allow artists to exist independent of the worry about how they can afford to buy supplies for art and etc. Now for side government, we are going to offer 2 arguments for you today. The first being how we protect the growth of the art industry but secondly, how we protect low-income artists. On our first argument on how we promote the growth of the art industry. Panda. In the 1800s, the only artists who were active in this field were wealthy individuals who could afford to focus on art with independence of worrying about worldly affairs, right? We tell you that as the cost of living dropped with the passage of time, more and more people were able to enter and break even into this field. And that is exactly how this field and industry grows. How? Allow me to elaborate with you. The first step in this argument then is that we think art is collaborative and that it grows when there is a larger quantity of artists that are increasing in this field. We see this at the point when poems are inspired from other poems, when songs are inspired from other songs, when artists sing with other artists, right? We say that art is collaborative and we need the maximum amount of people into this field for us to be able to benefit from it. The significance then is that when we offer a basic income, we offer the possibility of buying. Because let's face it, $15 might not sound like a lot, but that is actually over $60,000 in a year. We tell you that the second significance is that we lower the barriers of entry, allowing the field and industry of art to grow. Now, I'm going to finish up with some comparative analysis on where we get more growth in our model, but please, before I go, I'll take your point.
So the doodle I made in a napkin yesterday night collaborates with art in the same way as Mona Lisa, for example, even if people don't like it.
I'm sorry, I was not able to hear that point of information.
So the doodle that I made in a napkin yesterday has the same collaboration of art than, for example, Mona Lisa, even if people don't like what I did.
Okay, so where is your question? I'm moving on. Panda, this is a comparative analysis on why you get more work on our side of the house, right? On our side of the world, with our model, 100% of the artists are able to receive stipends that can be funneled into promoting and supporting their art, right? Their counterfactual is a world where an extremely limited amount of artists receive minimal financial compensation. We think then we should prioritize and we think we win out of this because one, fellowships are temporary and they're one-off thing. That is to say, you're only going to apply to one fellowship, and once you win that fellowship, it's only going to be something like $5,000, right? But the contrast then from side government is that in contrast, we pay artists over a long period of time. Let me break this down for you. We're then able to win on our side of the house because in the quantity of money offered, right? Because for instance, even if you were to pay one artist $10,000 in a fellowship, the contrast here is that in 1 year, a person on our side will be able to get something like $60,000, right? But secondly, I've already mentioned this on how we have exclusive buying, exclusive assurance on our side of the house, right? We think that panel, in coming to conclusion about why we should take this debate, right? Make no mistake, the most vulnerable stakeholders are the artists with dozens of songs in their phones and are unable to produce them because they have a low income. Artists like me. Everyone deserves to produce art, and everyone deserves to have their art be listened to and consumed regardless of their wealth. That is what the position takes this debate. Thank you.
Anyhow, without any further ado, I'd like to welcome the first speaker from the opposition.
Now, the reason why tea propositions are to a horrible start is because they hinder the one thing that they came to protect. It is absurd because of the lack of clarity that they have provided in their models when attacking also our counterfactual. So, what have they said? That they will have a body to oversee this, but if they have a body to oversee what? Because if they are saying that they will give this unconditionally, then this body overseeing these payments that they would be granting does actually cannot fulfill any real purpose. But what do we consider about the quality of art? Because they have said that art is inherently and always subjective and always dependent on bias. The thing is, we acknowledge that there is some extent of subjectiveness in art, but we also consider that we have an objective measure, an objective criteria that we can apply. Because what is the purpose of art in itself? It is there for us to enjoy, it is there for us to relate to this art, and therefore we can recognize and
actress such as myself. Because the song that I sing in the shower is in no way equivalent to Freddie Mercury's Bohemian Rhapsody. And I'm sure that we can all agree with that, right? And so there has to be some objective criteria that this art has to meet. What is it? First, aesthetic pleasure, and second, meaning. Because without it, art cannot be just defined. And anyone that thinks that they want to do art, any type of art, performing arts, music, or visual art, has to be an artist, right? Because if it's unconditional, then myself, I can claim that I'm an artist, even though I have no talent whatsoever, no meaning in my convictions, and no actually aesthetic pleasure for anyone, and therefore losing the purpose of art, right? But then, what is our counter model that have been constantly attacked? We would support experts being oversight by popular opinion, and this would manifest in different ways. First, granting specific grants for different projects. Second, public competitions that can be seen by the public for granting recognition to this artist. And third, applications that can be fulfilled by even those who are most vulnerable. And we will also support the control of this money by having some sort of condition that this money should be allocated into art school, or having some sort of accountability that is actually put into a productive use, which you don't have on their surface, right? So what are the burdens in this way? First, that this would prevent an abuse, and secondly, that this would actually improve art. And with this in mind, we're bringing in three arguments. I'm going to be presenting the first two, which are on abuses and how this hinders economy. Second, on how we actually are taking away from art. And third, that will be developing in my second speech, how we actually, the reputation that art is getting from these fellowships is actually beneficial to them inherently. But first, my reputation. 3 points. First, they have said that corruption is on our side of the house. With the counterfactual that I've already provided, you can clearly see how this corruption won't actually happen. Why? Because you have these experts that want to maintain a reputation and therefore have an incentive to be objective and actually analyze this art objectively, right? And actually analyze this art because of the value that it has. And secondly, because we would have oversight from the population, therefore the counter-corruption would be fully. Second, we have heard them say that people have unequal opportunities because it's a privilege and a luxury to actually have time to spend on art. So this, two responses. First, notice that people who have money but have no talent don't actually grow in the music industry. So therefore, we would actually prioritize people who actually have merit. And secondly, notice that many artists actually come from underprivileged backgrounds, right? Let's just look at, for example, Kendrick Lamar, who started in a very vulnerable neighborhood and ended up being famous because of the talent that they have. So we believe that people, if they hustle, if they have talent, they will be recognized, and precisely by these fellowship programs and these grants that we give them, they will be able to develop their talents. And on our third point, how their model actually supports artists growing. This will be tackled by on our first business Sunday, which I will be following into right now. So, on our first argument, what do we tell you? We tell you that there is a great possibility for people to abuse this system. Why? First thing, this system is actually unconditional. And they have said they will be unconditionally granting this money. And so, how can we define what constitutes an artist if we don't have any criteria? Because as soon as you put any criteria whatsoever, this becomes conditional, which is what we have in our system, right? And so, everyone suddenly will want to be an artist. Myself, I can consider myself an artist, even if I have no talent, even if I have no interest in art whatsoever, because I would see this as a sort of easy income, right? And so therefore, they will not be able to have clear definition, and that is why their case is completely blurry to everyone here, right? But you cannot also control who the artists are, so therefore, who are receiving this money, because you cannot grant a guarantee that they are actually an interest on art. And secondly, you cannot control where this money is going, because maybe I just want an easy income and I may just use this for my personal use without having to develop any artistic thing whatsoever, right? So we have two scenarios. First, the individual who falls into complete laziness because we are ensuring them a basic standard of living as set with their occupation, and so therefore they would have it. They would be abandoning their low-paying jobs because if they simply claim that they're an artist and make a few songs, then they can get a regular income that's completely unconditional. Therefore, discouraging work and discouraging them becoming professionals because they can just rely on subsidies by claiming that they're artists and not actually have to prove that they're contributing to the artwork in any way whatsoever. And our second scenario is even better for them, so we are being generous. It's the person who, regardless of employer or income, therefore has another job. And for instance, we have a professor that doesn't really need this money, but is actually taking it away from those who need it because this is another sort of income that he can just think, right? And so we consider that this is even worse because what are they in terms of this? We are taking the money from those who truly need it, right? From the vulnerable sectors of society that are really in need of this money because if the government spends so much money on all of these artists in a second, they won't be spending money on the policies that actually matter and helping the public and the society. Definitely.
Please tell us why you think there were significantly fewer artists in the 1300s and 1600s and so on.
Thank you. I don't really understand the relevance of your point because we have seen many artists such as Poser who came from vulnerable backgrounds and actually hustled to be able to gain the resignations that they have. And so, and because of technological issues as well, it's much more easier to produce art now than it was before. So I don't really understand the relevance of that one. But what we're telling you is that you're taking away the things that they really need. And now, yes, moving on to our second argument, how your art endangered art that you are claiming to defend. Because first, two reasons for this. First, people no longer have incentives to create better art or to have this self-competition that they're playing. Why? Because if I have no meritocracy whatsoever in a society, and I already have all the money that I need to cover my basic needs, if I'm an artist, even if I were a true artist, even if I were like truly interested in them, so taking them at their best, even if I have potential to get better, I wouldn't actually need to compete with anyone, and therefore I wouldn't have a critical thing on how good my skills are, and I would just be staggering these artistic advancements, right? And secondly, because even in the best case, in which we have great artists that want to get better, they are still not getting the help that they need. And notice this panel, that is extremely crucial. Why? Because first, they cannot professionalize, right? Because if we're just giving them a basic sum of money that is unconditional, then we're not giving them these fellowships that actually get them to professionalize because of the talent and the potential that we see in them. And so therefore taking away the opportunity for them to actually develop. And secondly, the art is actually very costly, and we agree with that, so we can see that point. And so if there is a really good filmmaker that needs millions and millions of dollars to make a movie, this cannot be granted to them because they would not be having grants on their separate house. He would just be given a basic normal amount, such as all of the other people who aren't even artists that are getting the same thing as him, and therefore losing locating very rapidly in their society, and not even having any consideration whatsoever what actually helps develop arts that they so seem to value. Whereas in art what we are recording is merit, and we are also considering need. Please notice that that is in clarification. So therefore, we are creating advancements in art, and we are actually funding the artists that truly needs this. And because I'm not Freddie Mercury, please don't wrong.
individuals of artists. If they fail to do that, we're essentially win this debate. Remember that they also want a basic standard of income that falls in our side. They want to protect the most vulnerable people, and we do it better. So unless they prove to us why they can have these things better, we have won this debate.
Thank you, Speaker, for the speech, and let's welcome the second speaker, opposition to the case.
Can you identify the difference between a 5-year-old girl making art, just painting with some macaroni and a piece of paper? Or can you identify the difference between my debate teammate making art in his shirt this afternoon at lunch with the meatball sauce? Can you identify the difference between all of that and the Mona Lisa? The difference between all of that and the Ironica art? So I bet you probably can identify the difference between these two things, and you're probably not experts at art. Imagine the people who are actually experts at art, who really care about it, who really make art and provide with the society with more works of art. In this speech, two main things. First of all, I have propositions proven so far that the motion says we are preventing abuse and we are improving art. What we expect right now, so I'll start with some refutations and I'll continue with our third argument or recognition. First of all, in our first argument, we propose there's a great possibility for people to abuse the system because there's no condition to grant this income basis of income. So if there is condition, there is not a basic income. In our second argument, we proved how this incentivizes people to get better, to evaluate their works of art. And our reputation, some really important points. First of all, we heard how songs on Spotify are released and people are now recognized for this fact. If people are really talented, they will receive support from the government, from the fellowships or the grants, because people who are really talented will receive this support. We want to ensure people who are really talented to be supported with this kind of help. Not anyone that can just pretend they are artists and just receive this advantages. We also heard how their model of creating an independent body this has many failures because people can write just, for example, a sentence that they can call literature or they can call it a song. So this way, they said how they were going to check that people were actually making art, but these people can every day just write a sentence. Write a sentence. The lady was saying that, claiming that this is art, and they will be receiving this support. They will receiving this benefit, which they should, because this should only be to help people who really need it or who are really good at art. This way, when they do it, they don't recognize the ones who really are artists, because you're giving a basic income to everyone who claims themselves as being artists. So these people who we recognize or who we used to recognize, such as many artists which I will mention in a second, but there are many other artists who were recognized in the past because of having special and exclusive kind of art. They won't be recognized anymore because everyone who claims themselves as being artists are getting this basic income. So we're not recognizing anyone in specific. We're not letting these people to have an incentive to improve their art or to try to have a meaningful topic or to be meaningful, to the work hard to be meaningful. They don't have an incentive because this is unconditional. This is unconditional. It doesn't have any conditions for us to receive this basic income. So these people don't have any incentive on improving their art. We also heard how people will be in the last years. People weren't recognized. There were little amount of people who were actually recognized. But what happened is, first of all, that less people were recognized because years before, we used to recognize the ones who excelled from others. Right now, we're recognizing anyone. Second of all, we have technology. People have been able to express art through technology. Technology has been more known and more people. These are our ways. So we want, maybe they're saying that, we will have less artists. No, but we prefer, even if we have less artists, which is not true because we wouldn't have less artists. On their side of the house, we have people just claiming themselves as artists, but they're not actually. But even if we had less artists, what we have is less artists, but much better artists. Less artists, and second, less artists who actually improve the culture and who actually evolve. Yeah, that's getting point.
Do you concede that someone with talent might not necessarily make it in their field?
Oh, yeah, so someone with talent will not make it in the field, but what about the people who have a job and actually just quit their job so as to become an artist because their job, for example, just gave them the basic income, but then they now can actually be an artist or claim themselves an artist and get this basic income. So this is an incentive for many people to just claim as being artists and get these advantages. Moving on to our third argument on the recognition. And this argument is how the recognition that comes from the government with fellowship and grants is good for artists and the recognition because there's competition. There are awards, for example. So we have, for example, film competition or painting. So in itself, the competition is letting them to compete and get a better instead of just getting money or for claiming themselves as being artists. They are exposed to the public by this recognition. So they gain from this recognition from the government. They gain more support and they get more recognition. So even if we have short-term help, short-term grants, for example, this is very useful because these people they have a short-term recognition. But in the end, as they were recognized with this short-term fellowship or with this short-term grant, people know them because of being excelled from the rest. Because we are excelling and we are identifying people and we are making a difference between the rest because we consider them with objective meanings. We consider them as more as better in the art and as improving the culture. This is why I'm incredibly proud to oppose this motion.
I'd like to thank that speaker for his speech, and I'd like to welcome the third speaker to the proposition to the floor, please.
how are they paid for? And secondly, where is art best used? I will do 3 things for you during the debate. I will point out strategic flaws that have come throughout their side. I will analyze this debate based on the question that is given as a question-by-question analysis, and then I'll weigh up the words. Now, onto the strategic flaws on their side. First of all, on the issue of clarity, right? They tell us that artists have no incentive for personal competition, but they don't recognize how exactly this is true. In fact, we tell you across the bench that artists do have incentive. Artists are passionate about their art. Artists are actively trying to do these things. They have an incentive for personal competition because they do art for art's sake. In fact, to add on to that, we tell you that the competition is harmful because it takes away from that art for art's sake. It takes away from that art for art's sake passion. It takes away from that incentive for personal competition. They need to tell us why exactly it is that artists don't have this actual incentive to be personal competition. And at the moment that they can't establish a clear cause, it also takes them their argument about laziness. Now, they also need to they also tell us how we may have less artists, but then they have more artists. But they don't exactly tell us why this is more important. In fact, on our side of the house, we told you that art only has to gain from the quantity, from an increase in the quantity. We told you that the increase in the quantity generally makes more art. And we see this in the way that points come from points, etc., etc. This, and in fact, on top of the fact that we've recognized how quantity is more important, we've also shown how it does also account for the quality. So we have shown how both quality and quantity are accounted for. But then they don't clearly tell us why it is that more we need better artists and not higher artists. Now, on the issue of engagement, right? They tell us that we bring up how corruption is something that is going to be rampant in competition. But then they tell us there's no incentive to be corrupt. But then this is only a half engagement because they don't tell us why exactly it is that these people won't offer their money. They don't tell us they don't recognize clearly how that it works and how engagement is not going to this debate. Next, we have about the model, right? We provided you a model that they constantly debate the person. But then the problem with this engagement on our model is that they misunderstood our model. Our model exists. In terms of whether it's unconditional. Our model does not exist to set conditions when we said that people will oversee. It exists to choose who is an artist and who is not an artist. Because as the motion reads, it is for artists and artists. It is for artists and artists only, right? And so our model exists simply to identify who is an artist, who is an artist and who is not an artist. And we tell you an artist is someone who is actively creating the art and actively contributing to it. And we say something when it's unconditional, what we mean by unconditional is just regardless of how much money it is that they have or the status, and not even necessarily related to just generally having knowledge. It is simply just to be, our model simply exists to identify the artist. And another issue with engagement is that they're trying to talk about how the money will be used elsewhere. However, they forget as a policy motion in current proposition, we have the fears of saying that we will get the money. But even if we have the fears of saying that the money is available. In fact, for all we care, they will take the money from every other side and then invest in art. Because they're wrong whether the money that we do have, the money that we're creating, should be used competitively or should be used equitably amongst everyone. And the last strategic flaw is in terms of contradictions, right? As I said in my preamble, they give up your ideas very detrimental to their case. They don't see that talent is not guaranteed success. So then, how do they on their side of the house cater for these people? We see that it is very awkward for them to proceed to this and then also not be able to cater for it on their side of the house as opposed to our side. Now, with that clear, I'd like to move on to the analysis of the debate, right? So, as I said, there are two key questions. On the question of who are the most vulnerable and why they use it, we told you that low-income artists are the most vulnerable because historically and even currently, artists there are high payments barriers of entry that exist in the art world, right? And we see that when we offer these scholarship grants to certain artists, it creates a disproportionate impact to these low-income artists. We also tell you that they're important. We also recognize that they're important because they they offer a unique perspective to art, which we feel like is very important. But then we also tell you that the government has an obligation as a state to protect all these artists, to protect everyone. We tell you also that people do not choose their passion, people do not choose their talents. Why should it just directly clashes with how they say that it takes away from the talent of certain artists. Because they're not the vulnerable artists in this debate. Those talented artists will be recognized through art because we have the resources to develop the talent. You know, they also talk about how they accept. They also talk about cases where low-income artists, where people become great artists due to low income, when they come from low-income background and they bring their income out. We tell you this is an exceptional case, and it's not a majority of the instances. In a majority of instances, we see that the artists who do prosper are artists who actually have resources. I can even name you more than what we say. Ariana Grande, we have also Ed Sheeran, we have and so on and so forth. These are in a majority of instances, artists generally have a form an extent of resources that allows them to enter this world. So on that class, we win because we've shown you how we exclusively cater for these people, and we've shown you that these are the low-income artists are the most vulnerable because and since we cater to them, we win this debate because they are important people to cater for. Now, on to where art is best enriched, right? We tell you that as we said, as we continue to make it, we've told you that the more artists there are, the better it is for art. We tell you that the quantity is important because it also improves the quality. They are not directly attack this. They cannot claim that they cannot claim that we may have better artists and not necessarily more artists. When they don't tell us why exactly this is the case, when we are showing you directly why a high number of artists actually does that, you know. And let me tell you that we also tell you how the creation of competition in whether you can make up said art or not, actually goes against the very tenets that art is built on, because it creates certain incentives to be corrupt. We tell you that people can write these words to be able to get the funding for said art, you know. And so when it ruins the point of art, it then loses this debate because they fail to show how exactly they investigate for art. And as I said, just because they're catering for talented people does not necessarily mean that they're generally improving art. They're only catering for people who have the access to resources to access to this fellowship program. They're only catering to a specific group of people. We can't stand for that. Therefore, we win this debate because we have shown you why art is far better off on our side of the house when quantity is improved, when low-income artists are catering for. Both for the side of the house, which is actively trying to protect everybody, regardless of how much money they have, and trying to eliminate these barriers of entry, never bother to oppose.
I'd like to thank that speaker for his speech, and now we'll finish off with some debate. I'd like to welcome the third opposition.
Okay. Starting with 3, 2, 1. Proposition. They are basically saying we're all daily. If, for example, if I'm in Google and that I made in a parking yesterday, I'm going to be better and receive the same money that, for example, the one who made in Mona Lisa. Or if I sing short that show the songs that my sister sings at night in the shower, I'm going to have to receive the same money that, for example, Professor or a real brother. So this point is just a lot of canon. We are more than proud to oppose to this motion. That's why we can expect 2 candidates from this motion. First of all, they're in the middle of the case outside the proposition and the development of the consequence of this debate. We are going to be divided into unparalleled competition and why this is not biased at all. So start off with a quick review of the case. But they're basically the same as the first is, if I perceive as an artist, I can earn money per minute. No regulations, nothing at all. If I say that I'm an artist and I just make a doodle and present it, I'm going to receive money per minute. That's the logic, that's the metric that the proposition team is bringing. But they also said that in our case, to corruption is going to be like that. And as we mentioned before, we will have a panel of artists that are selected with taking public opinion and the opinion of these experts that are in a specific field of art as well as with artists. So we cannot have corruption having public opinion and the opinion of big artists that are specifically the best in that field of art. But going around with this interviews, they give a condition to artists, saying that these type of people are the ones who actively create art every day or every month. What we can do in our side of the house is that everyone should be the ones who make this, as the Lord says, everyone should be the one who makes this art. Everyone should matter, no matter who, no matter what position they are, no matter their money, no matter nothing. They are applying a condition when the same motion is telling you now that whoever wants to make this can absolutely make it. But they forget to say actually something. And it's something that we got no engaged from side of our position when we say that people who may go out of the job just because to get some money and not be fluid with an artist, just to get another side of income, just to be a little bit thinner and just get this money because we want to not be such a big artist. And we got no answer from their side. So what side is more likely that people are going to buy? In our side of the world, where we have kind of artists, or on their side of the world, where people are going to buy just to get another side of income. So that's pretty unconclusive. But also, they talk about incentives. So let's talk about incentives because they said why on our side people or artists are going to be not that good. But what we notice is that on their side of the house, why no? They have no incentive to get better, and they receive money, and they already feel good. They already feel like art artists just become they receive a little bit of money. But what we can tell you also from this one is that we're talking about growing art. Not just songs, as they talk about, not just painting art, but also we can talk about movies. Movies that receive and that need millions of dollars in order to be produced. So how are they going, the artists that they say they're protecting, and the artists that they say they want to make them rise, if they don't have this type of money, they don't have this $1 million, since they are having a basic income for all. How are we going to make this? So that's an inconclusive point on side proposition as well. But continuing with the last phase of reviewal, they basically are basically saying that quantity equals to quality, and we're going to explain why this is not like that. So continuing with the other points of class. First of all, starting with this on fairness that they absolutely love to talk about. And what we can tell you is that what side is more fair, having people doing absolutely nothing that can get more, that can get the same money or even more than someone who works extremely hard to get their art done, that work extremely hard in order to arise from what they are. Because on our side, we are the ones promoting competitiveness. We are the ones promoting that people innovate their art in order to make it better, in order to get this incentive. That's why on their side of the house, the people that are making this art may be lying just to go a little bit out and doing their jobs, or just because they absolutely like it. So that is another part on their side of the house. But as we were saying before, the point that they mentioned regarding Spotify, and that there's hundreds of artists, and that people know this is where the money comes, so we should give them money. So they're dealing with the status quo. Nowadays, there's a lot of supply, there's a lot of money, a lot of artists in, for example, platforms like Spotify. Yes, but on their side of the house, there will be a lot more, because a lot of people are going to be and to feel artists just because they get a lot of money, and there's going to be the same demand. So therefore, people are not going to be listening to the same people over and over. We can see this right now. People listening to the Beatles, for example, or old bands with tons of indie artists in this type of platform. So this will actually work. So from Tim, yes, the point of proposition.
Okay, this debate is about the funding it's about funding to make the arts and not rewarding. Don't you think then this defeats all your arguments about rewarding the artists when it's about giving them the opportunity to make said arts and not rewarding?
And what we are telling you, members of the House, about rewarding artists is precisely the fact that we are making these competitors better in order to make this art better as well. What you don't have, on your side of the house, is this quality of art. As we said before, quantity does not equal to quality. Therefore, that is the point that they have concluded is in again. But what we can tell you is that even on the best case, let's say that we do the model, that we follow the thing that we're saying, some of them are not going to reach anything else than just a basic income. They are not going to get anywhere because you're going to get just a little bit of money. So even in the best case, they don't have people to arise. They are not doing the thing that they promised. So, for example, and also going back to this point of corruption, corruption, and to let this clear. Let's understand that this is not biased, that this is going to have a panel of parties, as we already mentioned, and the public opinion. So at this point, that is quite unconclusive for them, but it appears that they don't actually listen as well. It's not the case. We have a panel of parties, a panel of people who don't, and we have the public opinion. Therefore, we have both things that combine together cannot get no corruption. But it seems that, again, for this, if you can't make it do, we will be constantly tired. That's why we couldn't be more than proud to those to this one.
Speech, we'll welcome the opposition vice speaker to finish off options and estimates.
Now, please, I love singing and songwriting, but I'm here in WSDC and I'm not getting paid for that because I know that my art does not contribute at all to society because I'm bad at it and because I have no interest in developing that talent. And I cannot just abuse the system by asking for that easy income because we know that the average McDonald's worker who is actually going to be more lazy realizes that if he can quit his job and claim that he's an artist or just doodling around him a bit or just claiming to be a performing artist and therefore he can gain the same amount of income as if he's working, he would rather this world in which he lives of subsidies, and that is why the proposition has lost its value. First, is it better to have more artists? And second, does this basic income actually help real artists? The answer to both questions is no. First, on one, what do we hear is that we hear that when there's not the house, we're actually getting this diverse perspective, right? Because we have a panel that determines that if you are producing a lot of art, then therefore you would be an artist because that is the model, right? And you would be getting this financial income. To this, two responses. First, that is a condition, so you would be literally contradicting yourself when you're telling us that it is unconditional. But taking you at their best, and even if that were a condition, you yourselves have said that this is completely subjective, and therefore this leads to people having the ability to abuse this system. Because if I have no interest in art whatsoever, and I put little to no effort on it, but I just present that to the client because I'm showing you, look, I'm doing like 1,000 artworks a year, but my artworks are simply dots on a page, then I'm literally abusing the system and getting this money that should be going into real artists, right? And secondly, on how they have actually no accountability on where this money is going to, whereas on our of the house, with our fund model, we have told you that we will be checking that this money is going to producing more art, and secondly, that we would have a larger accountability because we would have public opinion and experts on this impact application, right? And so yes, on our of the house, we would have less artists, but we would have artists that are actually valuable, that actually care about art and about making art that actually contribute to shaping a society. Because when we're in the house, we simply hear that, well, we have to make the artists look better, right? Like, poor artists that are not getting enough recognition. But they're not recognizing why we care about these artists this much. classroom, and because we have actual incentives for them, and actual money, and ability, and actual possibilities for these two artists to professionalize and to actually develop their careers, regardless of their background, because no money can make an artist, and because they haven't actually engaged with their point on how these fellowships actually give them recognition, they have no place to face.
And now to finish off this debate and this day's debating, I'd like to welcome the Proposition 5.
Okay, so I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, in this debate, we have the fiat of this debate because it's not about how we get the money. The issue is how we choose to spend this money, whether in the fellowships or for the basic income, and we're telling it's for the basic income. So this undermines all the arguments of money not being used well, money being abused or all that, or if money will go to people who are not artists, because in this fiat, it says all artists. So all artists will get money regardless. So we have the fiat in this debate. So ladies and gentlemen, art is progressive. From singing in the shower to becoming the next Celine Dion, from a doodle on a napkin to the next Mona Lisa, provided they are given a stable and basic income to sustain their talent. We tell you that quantity is equal to quality in art, because art is progressive and expressive in nature, and all these things depend on the quantity which leads to the quality. This is an exclusive thing for art. Might not work in other places, but for art, this is exactly how it works. I'm going to tell you two things: why we won and why they lost. I'm beginning to why they lost this debate. The moment their first speaker came up here and said that for their vulnerable people, they wanted a basic standard of living, we tell you that they lost this debate. Because you can only find a basic standard of living and a basic income rights, which is an aside proposition. The next thing is, they kept on saying that they're going to be judging what art is good or what art is bad. And we tell you that this program is ineffective because art is subjective, and they agree to that. And then we told you that there are no experts in art because there is no one person that has the sole education on art. So they can't claim of this, they can't make a claim of false artists because nobody is the expert in art. So you can't call out somebody saying you're a fake artist, you're a false artist, because art is expressive in nature, it's progressive, and nobody is the expert. So you have that efficiency of judging which art is better or not. It's just them saying that they're biased. The second thing is they end up talking throughout this debate about recognition, whether they were short term or long term, instead of talking about why help should be conditional. I asked them, they need to justify why the government should only give help to a specific selected individual, because this debate is not about awards, but rather the conditions or non-conditions of helping people. They need to justify why the government is justified in helping a select few group of people rather than helping everybody equally. We both, in the beginning, we both agreed that art is a good thing. And then we showed you that art works with more people because of its creative nature, its progressive nature. So we told you then that with fellowship and grants, it actively puts a cap on the quantity of people, which eventually leads to a small dearth of art, which they haven't engaged on. Now, why we want this debate? Because we are able to protect the most vulnerable people, which are the low-income artists. We told you that low-income artists have two burdens: to support their basic needs such as food, clothes, and shelter, but also to invest in their arts. Then they haven't shown you that. In our work, we have shown you that both low-income earners and high-income earners get equal access, equal resources, and they haven't shown us why equality is a bad thing, ladies and gentlemen. All we're offering is equality. So please tell me why equality is a bad thing. They kept on saying, they kept on